one of the reasons I think the Detroit Lions are winning is the ownership, the accountability that Sheila Hamp has held herself to. And it's been one that you and I kind of spoke on, I think even before the season started. We've kind of been patient with like turning the page from the same old Lions. We set like certain standards or parameters that need to be there, although I have no problem calling them the brand new Lions as of now because there's been little SOL like within this season. There's been moments, but a lot more brand new stuff, a lot more stuff that you can buy in and believe in. And part of buying in and believing in is Sheila Ford Hamp and what she's done with this team. I mean, one of the reasons I called her Sheila Hamp is she literally ex-nayed the Ford, which is insane. That is the inventor of the automobile. You know what I'm saying? That's a historic, a proud name to have, And she's like, nah, not in terms of like selling some Detroit Lions tickets, not in terms of like making these Lions fans happy. She went through. She got the help of Chris Spielman, an actual football mind. That's one of the things people bitched about when it comes to this organization was the fact that they let Rod Wood run everything financially like, through like the books rather than like football. You know what I'm saying? And herself, I mean, obviously her family's owned the team, but in all due respect, she doesn't hold the same football intellect as a Chris Spielman. But she went and got him. He got Dan Campbell. They got Holmes. And then Campbell, and you're just starting to see the effects of it. But she added another thing to that list, by the way, the draft. She's bringing the draft. Dude, she's a badass. They're changing the turf. I don't know if you guys heard the news. There's not going to be that 18 playoff that we were hoping for yesterday. We were thinking the Detroit Lions have better odds of sneaking in. That's no longer the case. What they're now going to do is the AFC Championship game, depending on who's in it, will be played. Yep. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so why Ford Field in Detroit is not available for the possible AFC Championship game, and that's because they're actually installing brand new turf next month. Only a month after the season ends, they're going to be installing their brand new turf there, which I don't know if you guys remember throughout the season. We kind of, actually, on this show, we questioned a little bit of why is this team experiencing so many injuries? Yeah. And turf became like, maybe one of the reasons. We saw Deshaun Elliott bitch about the turf throughout the season. And Sheila Hamp, aware of that, taking accountability of that, and has given this team every possible advantage to compete and stay healthy and win games. And I don't know, man. I know this is why I said the tweet. Flowers don't grow from turf. Yeah. But Sheila deserves some.
Sheila deserves some for sure because obviously you've already spoken on what she's done, helping put the Lions on the map in the national media perspective, not only with Hard Knocks but with the draft and putting them out there, going out there and talking to reporters when the Lions were at their lowest point in the season at practice, when the Lions were 1-6 and they're fighting back, they're trying to, all the fans were off of it. I said I was on the edge of the plank, but I didn't jump off yet. And Sheila went out there and addressed the media, something that she was instructed not to do, but something that she felt she needed to do as the owner of this team, as the face of the Detroit Lions. She went out there and she talked to the media and she told everybody, relax, we believe in these guys, gave them the vote of confidence, and that helped kind of ease some people. And then you see the Lions break off the run that they're doing in such a fashion. It makes it a lot better when you hear stuff like that coming from the source, coming from the top, coming from the tippy top, which is Sheila Hamp. And what she's done not only for the optics of the team, but internally, like you said, tying up with Chris Spielman, getting a guy like Dan Campbell, getting a guy like Brad Holmes, who is the best GM that the Detroit Lions have ever seen already. And it's just impressive to me how she's turned this around, because this was the first year of the rebuild, really. The teardown happened and then the rebuild started. And they're already in playoff contention. So it's very impressive for her to have kind of flipped the script so fast after taking over, seemingly doing all the right things, not only with the people that she puts in power, but the decisions and the lucrative movements she's doing within the NFL. Like we mentioned, getting Hard Knocks, getting the draft, doing things like this where she sees that things are happening, that the turf is not working, that players are not liking the turf. Tracy Walker went out there and said it was basically because of the turf that he got injured. We know all around the league that has been happening. Players don't like playing on turf. And she said, all right, we're going to change it. And she's going to change. And you know how expensive that probably is? Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't. She's got it. She's got it covered. She got it. But still, it's something that didn't need to be happening. Something the Lions Ford Field didn't need to happen. But she went out there and made it happen because it's for the best of her team and for the best of her employees.
She's the best
around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. She's the best around.
All right. But seriously, there are 3 different types of, just like there's 3 different types of grass, there's 3 different types of turf. And this is from PrideDetroit.com. There's monofilament, dual fiber, and slit film. According to NFLPA studies, there are currently 7 teams that use the slit film in their stadiums. It's the Giants, Jets, Lions, Vikings. The Vikings, that's the same turf that Walker got hurt on. New Orleans Saints, Indianapolis Colts, and the Bengals. And per studies done by the NFLPA and scientists, whatever, that has been discovered to be the least safe turf in the NFL is that slit film the Detroit Lions currently have. Now, I guess that the turf was scheduled to get changed either way in 2024, but with the Detroit Lions not hosting a playoff game, again, this is why you love Sheila, who actually gives a F-U-C-K. She's having it done next month.
Yes.
So not only, like you said, is it probably expensive to refurbish the entire field with brand new turf, but it also, to move it up from 2024 to next month, I feel like it's probably a little bit expensive too.
For sure.
It's just, you got to give her the flowers, man. She actually gives a shit about the town, about the city, and clearly about the team at this point too. And we mentioned like some of the stuff that she did right now as part of like the reason to give her flowers. But I forgot to mention one other thing. She put her office right in between both Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes.
Yes.
There's Campbell, Sheila, Holmes. That way, just to keep them on their ass a little bit. I mean, we all hate when our bosses are around at work because you're kind of forced to, only work at that point. Mm-hmm. And she's right in between them.
She said, y'all ain't going nowhere.
100%. Yeah. I'm going to hear you if you're on the xxnx.com. All right? I'm going to walk in there, and I'm going to bust you while you're busting. No, but she's
Jesus Christ.
But again, I always talk about the Jocko Willing thing, accountability and ownership,
yes.
For leadership. And she's done that. She hasn't shied away from the fact that historically the Detroit Lions ownership just hasn't been great. And like you said too, that interview was very telling as well.
Yes.
And it's just, I think,
she took accountability. She didn't have to do it. She was actually instructed by PR not to do that.
Literally.
And she said, "No, too bad, suck it." And she went out there and she talked to the media and gave them real, heartfelt responses to their questions. And it kind of put people at ease. And then, of course, the Lions turned around after that, so that puts you more at ease.
100%. And she must have been on their ass at that moment too. Talk about the Lions get done. Talk about Sheila, helping usher in the brand new Lions.